Welcome to State of the Offense, your unbiased coverage of your favorite team's offense, the Philadelphia Eagles. With an offense as talented as the Eagles, I believe that fans in Philadelphia should have the highest expectations going into next season. Last season, the Eagles finished second in total offense, ninth in passing, fifth in rushing, and second in scoring, which earned them a 14-3 record, an NFC East title, and the NFC Championship. In the skill positions, the team brings back Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. New additions include running backs DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. On the offensive line, the Eagles will bring back four of their starters from last year. The Eagles drafted Tyler Steen from Alabama in the third round. Jordan Mailata is back at left tackle for the Eagles for his fourth year. In 2022, Mailata played in 16 games with an 83 grade and an 86.2% snap share. Mailata's 83 grade places him in a tier between 11 and 14 in the NFL at left tackle. He is signed through the 2025 season. Left guard Landon Dickerson is entering his third year. From his rookie year to his second year, he improved from a 74 to a 79 grade. His 79 grade puts him in the 9 to 10 range of starting left guards in the game. Jason Kelce is a 6-time Pro Bowler and a 5-time All-Pro at the center position, who, like his younger brother, is building a Hall of Fame resume. In his 12th season, he graded at a 92 in 17 games played with a 97.2% snap share. Kelce was the best center in the NFL in 2022. He is under contract through 2024. Second-year player Cam Jurgens is projected to start at right guard this year. As a rookie, Jurgens, who played center at Nebraska, only saw action in 8 games and totaled 35 snaps during the regular season. He was the Eagles' second rounder at pick 51 in 2022, so the organization believes in him as a prospect. He is replacing Isaac Seumalo, who signed with the Steelers in free agency. Seumalo graded at an 80 last year, so Jurgens has a tough act to follow. I expect Jurgens to grade around a 73 this year. 2023 third-round pick Tyler Steen is listed as the backup right guard. Lane Johnson is back for his 11th season in Philly at the right tackle position. Lane Johnson is a 4-time Pro Bowler and 4-time All-Pro who was the number 1 right tackle in football last season with a 94 grade. Johnson played in 15 games with an 88.1% snap share. The Eagles have Johnson under contract through 2027, which will cover him up to the age of 37. The Eagles have the best offensive line in the NFL. Besides 2 All-Pros with Kelce and Johnson, the other 3 linemen are young and improving. If Jurgens and Steen improve and develop similarly to what Dickerson and Mailata have, this will remain a team strength for many years to come. The remarkable improvement of quarterback Jalen Hurts over the course of his 3-year career has brought much hope to the franchise. A year ago, Jalen Hurts was viewed as a quarterback good enough to get you to the playoffs. He wasn't viewed anything like what he actually delivered last year. His 21 to 22 season improvements include completions from 265 up to 306, completion percentage at 61.3%, up to 66.5%, passing yards from 3144 to 3701, yards per attempt 7.3 to 8.0, and passing touchdowns from 16 to 22, and interceptions dropped from 9 to 6. On top of that, Hurts also went from 10 rushing touchdowns to 13 rushing touchdowns. The big question is, how much better can Jalen Hurts get? In fantasy, Hurts was the quarterback 4 in points and the quarterback 3 in points per game. He is currently the quarterback 3 drafted at position 23 overall. Jalen is going at the back end of the second round. Because of his rushing upside, Hurts will always have a high floor in fantasy football. In my opinion, Hurts is in the group of 4 elite quarterbacks in fantasy football for the 2023 year. The other 3 are Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow. If you get one of these 4 quarterbacks, your advantage at quarterback will keep your team scoring week to week more consistently. If you wait for the 5 to 8 tier of quarterbacks, which is Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence, it will not give you the stability of the top quarterback tier. If you have the number 2 overall pick in your draft, you're in line for the number 23 and 26 picks overall for your other top picks. How does Austin Eckler, Jalen Hurts, and DK Metcalf sound to you? That's who's falling in those spots in average draft position at those picks. If you are at number 2, you have to get the surest thing on the board. Most people assume Justin Jefferson to be the number 1. If you have number 2, I recommend Kelce because he will more likely outscore the competition at his position, and he will outscore them by more points than the number 1s at other positions will. Assuming you have Kelce, at 21 through 28, you're looking at Garrett Wilson, Tony Pollard, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Waddle, Travis Etienne, DK Metcalf, Breece Hall, and T. Higgins. Who do you trust more than Jalen Hurts? Hurts' ceiling is quarterback 1. To be able to get that at the number 23 pick is a good value. The first year of A.J. Brown in Philadelphia was tremendous. To be able to make a really good wide receiver like Devonta Smith a number 2 is almost impossible for a defense to stop. 88 catches on 145 targets for 1,496 yards and 11 touchdowns receiving were Brown's numbers in 2022 in Philadelphia. Brown was the wide receiver 5 in points and the wide receiver 7 in points per game. He is currently the wide receiver 8 drafted and the number 18 player overall. Wide receiver 8 is too low for A.J. Brown. The 5 through 8 group of wide receivers are Adams, Diggs, Lamb, and Brown. Davante Adams, quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, had foot surgery in March, and he's not as talented as Derek Carr. Stephon Diggs is in a good situation with Josh Allen in Buffalo. CeeDee Lamb has increased competition in Dallas for targets, with Michael Gallup getting healthier than last year, plus Brandon Cooks is a Cowboy now. CeeDee Lamb's production may drop some. Brown has a quarterback who is getting better every year. Brown is entering his second year in the system. Devonta Smith and Quez Watkins are the same guys he had last year. Dallas Goedert may be able to play more games and produce more, but A.J. Brown will have no new teammates coming in as good as Brandon Cooks. Last year, Brown was ahead of Lamb in points per game, so I'm not drafting Lamb over Brown. The 6 who were ahead of Brown in points per game in PPR formats were Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Davante Adams, Justin Jefferson, and Cooper Kupp. I already dropped Adams because of the quarterback downgrade. Jamar Chase missed 4 games last year. Diggs is still ahead of Brown for me. Tyreek's quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, has had some concussion issues, so if Tua gets hurt again, Tyreek's production will drop. Jefferson is my wide receiver 1. Kupp missed 8 games last year, and his quarterback Matthew Stafford missed 8 games last year as well. If you rate A.J. Brown as high as the wide receiver 3, I think you have some valid arguments. My personal board is number 1 Jefferson, number 2 Diggs, number 3 Chase, and I put A.J. Brown at number 4. If you have the 7 and 18 picks and you're able to get A.J. Brown at pick 18, who fits best with Brown? Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, and Jonathan Taylor all should be available at pick 7. Any of those running backs with Brown will be a good 1-2 punch for your team. With pick 31 in your 3rd round pick, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, Ramondre Stevenson, Devonta Smith, and Mark Andrews are all going around that area of the draft. Devonta Smith is the wide receiver 14 drafted at pick 33, which means he's a late 3rd rounder. Smith was the wide receiver 10 in points scored and the wide receiver 15 in points per game. Wide receiver 14 is about right for Smith. Many people believe 3rd-year breakout seasons are a thing in fantasy football. I think that any increase in production for either A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith will be tied to Jalen Hurts throwing more and running less. If you think that things will stay the same with Hurts, stay with Brown as a mid-2nd round pick and Smith as a late 3rd round pick. On the surface, it was expected for Dallas Goedert to have a boost in his numbers in his first full season without Zach Ertz. A shoulder injury interrupted an excellent season for Goedert. His 17-game pace would have been 78 catches on 98 targets and 995 yards receiving. Goedert has not played a full regular season since his rookie year in 2018, but his per-game receptions rate would have placed him as the 3rd tight end. His per-game target targets would have tied him for 5th best amongst tight ends. His yards per game would have ranked him as the number 2 tight end in receiving yardage. With the quality of the Eagles' passing game and the usage level of Dallas Goedert in this offense, it can be argued that Dallas Goedert is a top 3 or top 4 tight end in ability. He was the tight end 9 in points scored and the tight end 5 in points per game. Goedert is getting drafted as the tight end 6 at the 69 spot, which is a late 6th round pick. The after Travis Kelce group in average draft position: Mark Andrews at 35, TJ Hawkinson at 44, Darren Waller at 51, and George Kittle at 53. If there is no real talent difference between Dallas Goedert and the 4 guys getting drafted ahead of him, Goedert going 16 spots after Kittle is simply an injury discount. Darren Waller was injured a lot last year as well, but he's going 18 spots ahead of Goedert and 2 spots ahead of Kittle. Here are Waller's Las Vegas numbers projected out over 17 games. 53 receptions on 81 targets for 733 yards, while Dallas Goedert's numbers again would have been 78 receptions for 98 targets and 995 yards. Where is the Darren Waller injury discount? You should automatically drop Darren Waller behind Dallas Goedert. So even if you look at Dallas Goedert as the tight end 5, he's a steal in the 6th round. The Eagles decided to move on from running back Miles Sanders, and he signed with Carolina. In his place, the Eagles acquired 2 very talented players in DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. The downside is that Swift has only played in 40 out of 50 of his possible games in his career, and he's missed games in all 3 seasons in his career so far. Rashad Penny's track record is even worse. Out of 82 possible games, Rashad Penny has played in 42. Say what you will about Miles Sanders, but he had played 57 of 65 possible games as an Eagle. The Eagles only used Sanders as a receiver in his rookie year, and he did catch 50 passes for over 500 yards. Swift is an elite receiving back. Penny is not a proven receiver from his Seattle days. Over the course of their careers, Rashad Penny has a very impressive 5.7 yards per carry, while Miles Sanders had a pretty good 5.0 yards per carry average for his career. DeAndre Swift has a 4.6 yards per carry average. Sanders is probably a more complete running back than either Swift or Penny, but with the 2 new guys and the 2 holdovers in Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, the Eagles have fine depth at the running back position. Because of the depth of the Philadelphia running back group, I don't think that any of them will turn out to be a reliable source of fantasy points. Swift will do well in PPR formats. Swift was running back 20 in points per reception points last year, and running back 17 in points per game in PPR. Not too bad for a guy getting drafted at running back 26. Swift's ADP is picked 74 in the 7th round. Penny was running back 69 in total points and running back 28 in average points per game. He is the running back 40, drafted as pick 131 overall, which is an 11th rounder. I think that there are probably going to be more reliable alternatives in the 7th and 11th rounds than Swift and Penny, but they both can exceed their draft positions with some good luck in the injury department. The Eagles offer quite a bit of options in fantasy football. Jalen Hurts is now an elite fantasy option at quarterback. The running back position is deep, which means that 4 guys will probably score fantasy points during the season. The top 2 wide receivers are very strong picks, and the tight end is as talented as any tight end in the league, not named Travis Kelce. The offensive line is also a big plus to ensure offensive productivity. The Eagles had last season and will have this season in their definite Super Bowl window. This is the last year of Jalen Hurts being on a cheap rookie contract. He will be entering his 2nd contract in 2024. Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson are 2 elite all-pro talents on the offensive line who are 35 and 33 years old respectively. The defense will be different in 2023, and the future of that side of the ball will have to grow up. If the defense is in the middle of the pack because of all the changes in personnel, it will have to be the offense that actually carries this team to a title. If you like today's coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles offense, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.